Coming soon to a neighborhood near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Constitution. Opening nationwide in March with the delivery of 2010 census questionnaires to every household in the nation and in Ohio, with the goal of having residents complete and return their forms by Census Day, April 1st, 2010. You Can Count on Me, Ohio, the statewide nonprofit Complete Count Committee presents the 2010 U.S. Census, the production of the decade, featuring the stars of our show. The 10-minute, 10-question, once every 10 years short form, and our crew, hard-working nonprofits across the state, and you, plus every person living in Ohio. Together, we can make the 2010 census a success. Why is this important? Because the census determines the federal funding formula for Ohio. Funding amounts to approximately $12,000 per person per 10-year census cycle. It determines how funds will be allocated at the local level for things like schools, roads, and mass transit. It determines how many representatives we'll have in the U.S. House. And finally, the census is a way for all people to be represented. So where does all the action take place? In what are known as census tracts. These geographic areas, as defined by the U.S. Census, are used to gather data. Tracts range in population from 1,000 to 8,000 residents, but they're usually about 4,000 people. In Ohio, there are 2,930 census tracts. You Can Count on Me, Ohio will concentrate on what are known as hard-to-count census tracts. The U.S. Census assigns every tract a score between 0 and 120. The higher the score, the higher the risk of undercounting. These hard-to-count scores are based on multiple variables that in the 2000 census resulted in low mailback rates. Our challenge is to make the census meaningful to people who may not be aware of what's at stake. The census determines things like the number of vaccines that will be available in your community for the swine flu or the next pandemic, or the number of S-chip recipients, the number of police stations and fire departments that will keep you safe, the number of crime prevention and juvenile delinquency prevention programs in your area, the new businesses that will open near you, where bus lines and mass transit portals will be located, and whether or not you'll have access to HEAP, the Home Energy Assistance Program, school programs, daycare, and job training opportunities. Our challenge is also to reduce obstacles to participation such as language barriers and privacy fears. We will need to be clear and precise in our communication, reminding everyone that the U.S. Census form is available in 6 different languages to encourage completion of the form. And being counted is also important regardless of legal status. Privacy is guaranteed by law in U.S. Title 13, so even those who are not documented have nothing to fear. Our hardworking nonprofit crew is up to the challenge. They have trusted relationships with the people they serve. They are uniquely positioned to educate and motivate around census participation, and they are densely located in hard-to-count tracts. There are an estimated 4,200 nonprofit and community-based groups in hard-to-count tracts working together to promote and encourage residents to complete and mail back their census forms by April 1st, 2010. In Ohio, we have 361 tracts with hard-to-count scores of 70 or above. That translated into 836,505 people in 2000. You Can Count on Me, Ohio will focus our efforts on 3 urban counties, which make up 68% of the hard-to-count tracts in Ohio. They are Cuyahoga County with 140, Hamilton County with 50, and Franklin County with 38 hard-to-count tracts. That's more than 500,000 people, according to 2000 numbers. It's also interesting to note that 62 of Ohio's 88 counties have no hard-to-count tracts at all. One of our featured attractions is our nonprofit participation levels. Our partners will have the opportunity to participate in promoting census at different levels, depending on their interest and capacity. Recognizing that many nonprofits are extremely overworked, these levels provide specific expectations and can be easily converted into a contract or subgrant. And in our coming attractions, we plan to promote the use of census materials through governmental systems that have direct client contact to reinforce the message. Examples are TANF, food stamps, Head Start, S-chip, and prison pre-release packs, among others. The show begins with our website launch, where we will recruit for our October 8th kickoff and have starter kits available. You Can Count on Me, Ohio is brought to you by COHIO, Ohio Votes, Ohio Citizen Action Education Fund, and nonprofit Voter Engagement Network, with generous support from state and national foundations. We hope we can count on you to lend a hand. Go to our website to learn how. Visit www.youcancountonmeohio.org or call us at 614-280-1984. Here's to a complete count in Ohio.